Hi everyone, I'm Brandy and you're watching Watchaz Live. Here at Watchaz Live, we highlight trailblazers in their specific industries and of course give advice to the younger generation. This live has been sponsored by Electricity Jamaica and Gutful Jamaican Bami, Belly Full of Food. So check them out. And we're here with the one and only Lexi, a dancehall enthusiast, and of course the CEO of WahGwaan Dancehall. So WahGwaan, Lexi, what's up?
I'm here. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yes, because I've been loving your work. I saw your recent interview with Valiant. And of course, guys, Lexi and I met at the IMC, two women in the industry. And it has just been a pleasure. She's really a breath of fresh air and she loves dancehall to the core. So I just wanted to know about, you're welcome. I wanted to know about WahGwaan Dancehall and what inspired the brand. And of course, I little of your background because I know you're based in New York. I believe you have ties to Jamaica as well. But if you just let us know a little about what inspired WahGwaan Dancehall and your background.
So a little bit about me, of course. Like I am from New York, Big Bronx specifically, Jamaican heritage, of course. My parents, okay. Sometimes we're not accepted in the Jamaican culture, but I'm Jamaican down to the bone. Um, but in terms of media, you can ask anybody. I've always been like the light of the room. I've always liked music, entertainment, and things like that. But specifically dancehall, I think my love for it started from when I was like a child, really with my aunts and stuff like that. And then of course my mom, she was big in the music scene as well, going to clubs. But I think as I turned into like a teenager, I got heavily more into it with like rhythms and things like that. I did not make any music. I tried the YouTube thing by posting videos and like little cover arts and stuff. But my love for entertainment really blossomed when I reached college. I was just hosting Caribbean shows, of course, and I knew it was a big deal when someone reached out to me and was like, "Hey, you want to come to my school and host?" And I was like, "Me? Like that's crazy." So I did that, and then when I graduated, I still didn't know what I wanted to do in terms of like the entertainment world. And to be honest, Walmart Dental just blossomed out of frustration. Like I just got annoyed one day because I felt like there was no, how do I say this? Not a positive outlet because I feel like everybody's platform does have positivity despite, whatever else is there. But I feel like there was no neutral ground for certain things. There was a lot of bias and things like that. So I just wanted to start something where I'm just delivering news and you're listening and you have your own take on it. That's really what it is. But WahGwaan Dancehall has blossomed into a bigger brand than what I ever imagined it to be. Now where I consider it like a digital content platform for all things related to dancehall, Caribbean, reggae music. Now we just recently launched Enough Talk podcast with my girl Saj, so I'm amazingly happy about that. Just because I don't see any New York based type of things. Everything is always in Jamaica, which is great. But, for people that are up here, we need something like that. And of course, we do live coverage for other places, events, so on and so forth. I mean, the brand is growing. It's bigger than me, but I want it to be bigger than me and to make sure that everybody's beneficial off of it. So that's, yeah, in a nutshell.
Trust me, I can literally see it because when I was looking at the brand, I'm like, okay, Lexi loves dancehall and the Enough Talk podcast. I love the topics that you cover. And I love the how you guys ask the questions. It's as if you're actually trying to get to know the artist like deeper than the interview. I can feel the link. So you guys need to check out WahGwaan Dancehall. Definitely doing major things for the culture. And I'm glad you mentioned overseas because I wanted you to let us know what is the dancehall scene like in New York, Bronx specifically.
So now in this day and age, I think everyone around the world specifically knows how dancehall can be in other places. But New York has always been a mecca for like dancehall Caribbean culture. Like most people who come to America, there's only like three places that you really go. Well, North America specifically, New York, Florida, Canada, and sprinkled on the side of the East Coast. But everybody knows New York is like the extra parish that just not attached to Jamaica, right? But
Yes.
dancehall is very big out here, especially in the Bronx, like uptown. Like everywhere you go, your neighbors, your classmates, like it always felt like Jamaica. So going to Jamaica itself was like an extension, like, oh, I'm going to the actual roots, where this is more of like the extended roots. But yeah, New York is like a mecca. Everybody knows that. I want to say with how things are changing, like people are starting to go back and forth a little bit more. But if you could make it in Jamaica, you could also make it here too. It might be a little bit different in terms of like being strategic, but there's always going to be some type of link. Everybody's related to everybody. Everyone is best
True.
friends with someone. So it's the same exact thing as in New York.
Okay, because I thought it would be like a stark difference. Well, I love that. I love it. So, okay, in
Corporate type vibe, but I
you,
promise
you
you,
call it corporate?
I would call it corporate because you get connected more with like other labels that,
Yeah.
sometimes don't get to shadow over Jamaica that people are interested in, or certain connection to certain, like, hip hop artists do
No,
cross.
that's true.
So
It's
more
true.
networking, I would say, not corporate, but more networking kind of vibes, but same concept.
Okay, thank you. All right, in that case, some artists that you've personally seen in who are some dancehall artists you will believe are making serious, serious waves overseas. I don't want to just say New York, like let's say America, like some dancehall artists you think that are dominating.
For sure, in no order. I would definitely say, I mean, he kind of started in New York, but Armani, he's doing really, really well. Um, who are we're hearing on our airways, definitely like Armani, Valiant, Vibes Cartel, Movado, pretty much everyone. I feel like social media really pushed things in the way. I remember when I was younger, like I would go to Jamaica and I would hear a song and like nobody up here would never hear it. Like we would have to wait for somebody to bring back up the mixtape CDs and then we'll listen to it later on. But now with the crossover with social media, especially TikTok, Instagram was helping, but TikTok is like blowing people up. So, the younger generations, like the Armanis, the Valiants, the Chronic Laws, even down to the veterans, like Buju, Mr. Vegas, all those people, like it's always flowing on our airways. And because of the connection, it's not a situation where, we never heard this artist before. There might be some people bubbling in certain areas that we just haven't heard yet. But once it hits social media, we're hearing it automatically.
Okay, fair point, because I feel like persons are keeping that all in a box, not realizing it's literally globalization and it's
Mhm.
easier for artists to reach the other audiences. So I'm glad you mentioned that point. But in the case of, how would I put this then? All right. Is it true that overseas, older generation of dancehall is the one being played the most right now? Because that's a debate we have here all the time. Everyone says no one plays a new dancehall. It's the Spraga, it's the Shaba, it's the Supercat.
Club are you going to? Are you going to my parents' club? Because that's not happening. No, absolutely not. That is far from true. I think it's just those who don't know what dancehall are, they play that old music. But to your point that you were saying earlier, I think sometimes what we forget with dancehall is that it's a dance hall. It's supposed to be fun. Sometimes it gets too dark. Whereas for us, like we will enjoy it, we'll have fun, do whatever. But you have to understand that dance hall busts through the funness of music. Of course, the grittiness is still there, like back in the 90s when they had that
Yeah.
hip hop, the collaborations, but you have to understand that that market won't push as much, right? When you go to the Europes, like they're still repping reggae, where as some people may say reggae is dying as a dying art, but that's not true. It just depends on your market. But specifically in America, for what I would say is dancing songs or catchy songs are what's bubbling. So for example,
Mm.
Whites by Massacre, like that was running the streets, right? Even though that's not like a dancey song, it's a catchy
Yeah.
song that everybody was enjoying. But again, once music is good, it's good. But when I in New York City, specifically the Bronx, again, it's a bunch of Caribbean, specifically Bronx, Jamaican people. So we're gonna listen to our music. But if you want to reach that audience, you gotta make some fun, not crossover music. Not crossover music. I want people to understand that.
Mhm.
Not none of that, but authentic dance hall music, like the 90s beats, like similar to what DJ Mac is doing, tapping into some
The
of the
way you feel like,
exactly, like those rhythms are fun and catchy. Notice how each song that was on that rhythm, it was like a different vibe to it. No song
Mhm.
sounds alike. Everybody has their own thing. And that's what dancehall culture is, right? And that's what we're used to hearing, especially early 2000s. One rhythm would run a whole summer, but
It's
it's different artists, young, old,
yes.
whatever. So I think that's what the younger artists have to remember. You can cater to your people. When I mean your people, like in your groups of friends and stuff like that. But when it comes to reaching past the island, you have to think a little bit bigger, not selling yourself out by doing crossover music with songs that you'll never like, but think about how would somebody else interpret this music when they're not familiar with the culture. So things like that.
No, it's so true. And I feel like sometimes I tend to forget that juggling is literally the birth of dancehall. So you need, okay, even with I want use a safe for it. Let's use Diwali. That's
Mhm.
major, but you have different artists bringing a different flair to each track. And that's so crazy. And I feel like that's why we feel like he's doing good right now.
Mhm.
Because Mac, when he mixes and masters it, because I know Crash Dummy made the beat.
Mhm.
But the way how Mac mixes and masters each track is like it's a
Mhm.
different song.
Like
But
look
with
at Chronic Laws,
Mhm.
his part on there. Look at Mavado's part on there.
Yes.
Same concept, but it's like a little flair to it to match that artist's
Hmm.
persona pretty much, right? So everybody gets a different feel. And the same thing about the Diwali rhythm. I mean, I think just recently, I think was it Kaylani that was on that rhythm, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken?
people keep on sampling Kelani. You have,
That
I
was
think,
20 years ago.
Monet. Yeah, yeah. Even Nikki did something with it. It's
Right,
just
right,
to show you.
right.
It's just to
Yeah.
show you we are doing well, but I had to ask you because we don't have, I don't think we have much voices overseas. I don't even want to say the wrong thing,
Mhm.
but I don't think locally we're tapped in with the, persons like yourself who have platforms overseas covering dancehall. So it's good to hear it from someone on the ground overseas as well. So thank you for what you're doing. I'm gonna ask you a few questions. I know people may get in their feelings, but we just want to know. I'm telling you the bubbling debates happening here, and I'm just gonna
I
ask
want
you
to
to
know.
clarify it. So persons are of the view that Masika, well, Skillibeng is more famous than Masika overseas. Is that true or false? Not in the UK, we're talking America. So
Is Massacre more popular up here?
yeah, they think that Skillibeng, they'll say that Skillibeng is more popular. That this was a debate we're having.
Um, so I can't speak for everyone, but from what I hear, I want to say it's a little bit of both because when they have their peaks, they're at their peaks. Not saying that their peaks die out and they become flatline, no. But I feel like when Skilly has a hit, like for example, Shake It to the Max.
Mm.
I mean, if we really think about Shake It to the Max and Whites was running not in
Oh, at the same
popularity.
time.
Yeah, they were running at the same time. So I wouldn't say one is bigger than the other. I think it depends on your niche and your market of what you're looking at because they both do great really well. Like Skilly Bang is known, Massacre is known. I also think it comes back to the type of team that you have that's marketing. That's one thing I like about how dancehall is moving now. It's not just a friend thing, it's more moving into like a solid business thing.
Business.
And I think we learned a lot about that at IMC.
We
But
did.
I think for sure, I don't want to say one is bigger than the other because I feel like they both have their dominant powers. Like I would say they're more so like colleagues, peers, rather than like one is bigger than the other. I don't, in my
Mhm.
opinion, other people might say different things in terms of like lyricism, popularity, but I feel like they know how to make hit singles. Like Massacre has made like hit singles back to back. And look at Skilly
True.
Bang, any remix he jump on, it's blowing up. Any song he makes is blowing up. It's a one little catchy song, but everybody's singing it. Same thing with Massacre. Whites came out and look, people can't stop singing it to this day, even in New York. And this is for the people who are not too familiarized, like they understand it. And then even he had French Montana on there. So
Mm-hmm.
I can't say one is better than the other. Maybe locally in Jamaica, it might be a different situation because now it's not about who has corporate background or management background or label background. It's more so who's the streets feeling right now. You know what I mean? And I think
Yeah.
That's a debate where we can't come to a solid answer. It's always going to be a debatable thing. And it's not just him. It's with a lot of other people too. Because I'm pretty sure Movado and Vibes Cartel, when Gully versus Gaza was happening, it was the same thing. Who's better than the other? When in reality, they're both great artists and great
Mm,
who are carrying the culture.
fair point. Because I feel like we have that culture down here that we have to compete. We
Yeah.
clash, there's something there. So it's always
But it's
good to
good
have
though.
another air. Yeah, it's competition. So in that case, what what metrics would you use to consider a song a hit overseas, a dancehall song? Because we just go by YouTube. That's what we mostly use, just the YouTube views,
Mhm.
right? And of course, you have other metrics, but I feel like the most popular one, YouTube, Audio Mac. So, what would you say constitutes as a hit in dancehall? What are the metrics?
For me, I don't like to go off of platforms because I'm gonna be honest, sometimes they could be rigged because somebody can have 1 million views overnight, but their last video only had like 5,000 views.
I confused. The comments saying the same
Yeah,
thing.
that's
Who disagrees? Who disagrees?
right.
This, that, that.
So, I can't really go off of metrics. I guess I can fall in line with like the old school people. I go off one, clarity, catchiness, and the type of vibe that it brings, right? Because sometimes certain songs are too, how do I say it? Not too deep because I like deep lyrical music as well, but sometimes is not for everybody's ears. Like not everybody's gonna take onto that. And I could say for people living in America, New York, certain songs are not gonna be catchy because it is not clarity or it doesn't have enough clarity for them to understand. Like I want to say like Nigeria. I pronounce his name so bad. Please.
Nigerian. It's okay.
Um,
Who's still
some of his
standing is
songs
good.
no, his songs are good,
Yeah.
but sometimes the clarity is not there. But I like it. You know what I mean? Like I love all his songs that he had on the Dirty Muddy rhythm with Russian and all that stuff. But for some people, they're like, what the hell is going on? However, it's catchy and that's what people like. So once it's
Mhm.
catchy, it's something that people can catch on to. Same thing with like Kraft when he did round and round, like I'm pretty sure half of the people don't even understand what he's saying, apparently, but it's catchy. So once it's catchy and it's something that people can like repeat and things like that, that's what I consider a dancehall hit. Like Shake It to the Max.
Ooh, the beat was so infectious.
Like it's simple. Like it's just like, oh, I like this. I like, and it's giving the dance hall feel. And that's another thing too. The beats, the trap dance hall is good, but we have to understand that up here sometimes it don't stretch past
So
our
that's
ears,
what I want to
our
ask. That's what I was gonna ask. I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I was going to ask you, like, let me tell you what's happening. Down here, Trap Hall, I, I'm very immersed with the trap artists. I love trap. I
mm,
love that they're experimenting. I love that they have different versions of it. Like they have underground trap hall. You have something called like cuffcore, where it's like Playboy Carti meet. Yeah, I'm telling you, like, so it's like Playboy Carti beats on some with like patois on it, crazy stuff. So they're experimenting, which is good. I love it. I believe it can cross over successfully because I believe Crocodile Teeth showed that because Crocodile Teeth, it went on Billboard and it got a Nicki Minaj remix,
right.
right? But many others are of the view that trap hall is nothing new to America because you guys already have trap.
Mhm.
So there's an ongoing debate about if trap hall can actually cross over. And we're making a point. So I want to see if you're saying the same thing. So what do you think?
So I have two sides of me. That's why I say I'm a dancehall enthusiast because I can pick either side, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm not biased to anyone. To your point, yes, trap hall is good because it's like an emergence of dance hall. Same thing with like reggae. Dance hall started from reggae and other things as well, and it emerges to something else. What I think people forget is that when you try to emulate something else, it's like you end up getting washed in with like the other stuff. Not saying that trap hall or I call it trap dance hall is not that it's not good. It is good, but sometimes it's like you gotta learn versatility. Like, cause sometimes it's not gonna always be the same. You get what I mean? Like we could have trap dance hall, but still mix in the not traditional, beats dance hall, but still try to be a little bit versatile. And I think that's what happens sometimes with artists. Just in general, they fall in love with one thing and then they beat it to the ground to the point where it's just like, okay, can we find something else? So for example, when I had interviewed Valiant, I was pretty much asking him, like, when you first came out with music, when you came out with Dunce Check and North Carolina, it was a very dark, grungy, like, I guess that's what you call like trap dancehall. And
Yeah.
he said, he liked it, but that's what people wanted to hear. But he likes the gal songs. He likes the tunes that make the gal wind
Messenger
up.
Princess is good.
Right. And I know when he started off doing like kind of like a reggae mixture, songs like that. But you got to give what the people want, but you see how
Mm.
he used that and moved over back into the things that he actually wants to sing about. Not saying that he didn't want to sing about that, but like the thing that he fell in love with, right? And the thing that he's great at. And look how that's emerging because look at Passenger Princess, Passport Princess, West Indies. Like, look at all those songs that he's making. And none of those are trap dance hall songs, in my personal.
You're so right. I love the fact that you use Valiant as an example
Come on.
because no, because it's true. He did start off with the whole jumping thing, and it really makes you think and appreciate how he has evolved. Because from Dunce Check to, let's say, Maddox, right? Dunce Check, Maddox, Passenger Princess,
Exactly.
different timelines, different
So how
songs,
he did
and
it
it
too.
sounds more, I guess you'd say digestible to the other
Exactly.
countries,
Mhm.
but it's true. They need to experiment. Which brings up another point now with marketing.
Mhm.
Now, from your interactions with artists, what
Mhm.
are some things you think dancehall artists need to fix in terms of marketing themselves?
I think about rollouts. I think Spice is a great person as an example to show what a rollout could be, right? You could say a lot about Spice, but when it comes to rolling out a song and starting not even just controversy, but
None of
kind of
it. Home the song
she
with home
literally
the album.
exactly think about, and I was just talking about somebody about this other day, when she had painted herself white to promote her colorism song, right? She stirred everything up. People believe that she actually turned white. I still don't understand how people thought that, but the point was proven, right? She made a movement out of it. And that's one thing I like about Spice and other artists too. They use their song to make a movement about whatever they're talking about. And I think that's what dancehall artists or and artists in general, whether it's reggae or not, make a movement out of your current release or whatever it is. Just dropping music, I mean, it can work for some people, but not everybody has that same concept. You need to have a proper rollout. Now, if I use an American artist, Cardi B, right? Hers was like the Little Miss Drama tour with that specific thing, and Am I the
The
Drama?
birds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She made a whole concept. Like, for example, she did Bodega Baddie. She went to an actual bodega, like, and for those who know, bodega is like a corner store, gas station store, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
right? She made her point to go to the corner store and actually create that process of that. You get what I mean? Like, she's doing things that made sense for that. She did not a tour, but like a campaign where she was going to different radio stations and having interviews. Artists need to do that. If you want to promote your music, yeah, social media is there, but social media is so quick, like popcorn. It's like boom, bam, done.
No, they move
And then
on really fast.
you need to make a statement when you're rolling out, especially like albums or EPs. Even if you're dropping singles, you can still do rollouts. It's not a bad thing. It actually promotes you more because now the actual song is not out yet, so people are going to go back to like, oh, like this song didn't come out, but who's this artist? Let me look at their old music. So now you're having them look back into the old music and anticipating the new music, so now they know that the person that they're going to listen to or watch or whatever, like, I know a little bit about you, and it kind of plays into the new part, and then you'll gain fans just from that. So if we're not doing that, we're just dropping songs. Like, I mean, anybody could drop a song, but like, popular people can drop songs and it makes a wave. But
Yeah.
having a proper rollout, having a proper marketing team, a proper management that knows what they're doing, not your best friend. If your best friend never did it before, come on now. Let's get people who are credible. If your best friend is someone that you can rely on that can do it, then absolutely. But we need to have proper teams, proper management teams to get things rolling. We stop dropping music. We want to make an impact, make sound around it so we can actually, fall in love with it and not just kind of just, oh, you dropped the album today, damn, let me go listen to it. Like, we don't want to do that. Like, let's anticipate it. Same thing, Cardi B. I did the same thing. I was like, I'm not a hip-hop fan, but I want to listen to her album because she did mad work just to get us to pay attention to her. But I want to say the same thing about, like, artists as well, Jamaican artists.
It's true. The thing is, this is what I think is causing that. A lot of them know when they join music because Don't the Cartel still promotes himself like every day. The song he has with Shenzia, he made like 20 videos singing it over and over. And that's Vibes Cartel. The artists that are coming now, they enter the game already accomplished, like already rich, right? So it's like music is no longer a hunger thing for them, or them feel like, oh, man rich, man need for promote and beg nobody for listen a single. But
Right.
without that, who's gonna pay attention to you?
Hello.
So I love the points you're making. No, with WahGwaan Dancehall, right? How does WahGwaan Dancehall like bridge that gap? Like I realize you're doing something different for the culture and I love it. So if you could just tell us the vision, what you want to see for WahGwaan Dancehall in the next 5 years and the impact you want to make on dancehall.
Man, I don't even know. I think the way how I think about things when it comes to WahGwaan Dancehall, I try to just do what makes sense and see. I like to find a solution in things. Knock on wood, I really don't, but I do. And that was the point of me doing it. Like I said in the beginning, I wanted to bridge the gap where I noticed my family members were into dancehall, but there was no source for them to understand it because up here we had something called CIN. I don't know if they had it in Jamaica too, but CIN was like our little hub where you see like music videos and stuff like that. This is before the internet. That was the only way we could see stuff, and some of them are still stuck in that type of nature. So I'm trying to make things where it's relative news and make it easy and digestible. They're not gonna go through older people, right? People up here, not younger people. Just want to specify that. They're not gonna go to like a Main Dangers and a Quest Times and scroll and read through the comments. They're just not doing that. Like I'm telling you from experience, they're not doing that. So I want to make sure that this type of information is accessible to them and anyone at that matter, and especially people up here, because there's always this misconception of Jamaica and dancehall and reggae. It's such a beautiful culture in terms of music and things that we can produce. So why not bring it to a North American level that people can understand and digest? So the direction of where I'm going with WahGwaan Dancehall is still pushing that same concept, but more like a more broader concept. So doing more live coverage events. The podcast is now a conversation for Caribbean culture based in the United States, right? Or anybody who's coming up here, where instead of taking it from someone speaking with like a Patois dialect, we're just speaking standard American English, right? While I could understand, but some people may not. So I'm making it where, the other people can listen and they don't just make. The thing that really pisses me off is when people try to make up Jamaican culture as if it's not there already. They'll try to put their own spin on it, like rhythms that they were doing like 10 years ago. When it's like, we don't need that. Like we have that. Here it is. But there was no platform to push it there. But I would say though, in the last 15 years, kind of 20 years or so, it has brought itself to a forefront, especially with like the BETs, the VH1, because there's more Caribbean people in those networks pushing us further. I think the next step is getting dancehall a category on the Grammys.
Yeah. And we're gonna get that.
We're gonna get there sooner or later.
Amazing stuff.
However, we should not subject ourselves to feel like the Grammy is the top tier thing because
it's rigged sometimes.
Exactly. There's many places that cherish. You can go to Japan. They love dancehall culture to the bone. We don't need to subject ourselves to a Grammy to feel like we made it. If you can go across the globe and people that don't even speak English, period, are singing dancehall songs word for word, we don't need justification from a Grammy. While it would be a good thing to have, like a trophy, but let's not dictate that.
So true, because a lot of artists center their success around that, and if they don't get it, they feel like, oh, they're doomed. But sometimes it's rigged. And then again, you have to focus on your love for music, because if you put expectations towards every single thing you do, you're gonna feel like, oh, I'm not getting it there. And that's not the case. You're just on your own path. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much for sharing that, Lexi. This was a pleasure having you here. Like, women in dancehall, we are doing amazing. And of course, Lexi and myself are proof of that. Make sure you check out WahGwaan Dancehall and the Enough Talk podcast. Could you tell them the handles to check out?
So it's WahGwaan Dancehall. So Gwaan has two A's. A lot of people forget that, but it's WahGwaan Dance Hall. And then of course Nuff Talk Podcast is Nuff Nuff podcast or Nuff Talk Podcast, sorry. But it's all the same on all digital platforms. We are on Apple Music, Spotify, for playlists. We curate that as well. TikTok, we going viral here and there.
Hey.
And of course, with Nuff Talk Podcast, we're all on digital platforms. So check us out. The old, the young, the new. We have everything for everyone. So excited.
Sure. Thank you so much for that, Lexi. And make sure you guys check out WahGwaan Dancehall and Enough Talk podcast. So thank you guys for watching. Watch us live. Okay, so let's see.